All right, y'all. I'm gonna give you a fan's perspective. A lot of times I try to be objective, honest, bring up the facts, but I'm a Warriors fan since birth. I'm obviously biased, but like I said, I try to call it the way I see it and be honest. But let's just talk about what a long-term Warriors fan has been through over the years and why, in some ways, we deserve this team or where we're due. I call it karma. I call it that we was due. But let me just go through this a little bit really quick, and I'm gonna try to speed it up for you on how bad we've had it since about 1990. That's right, 1990, folks. That's about 26 years ago, 25 years ago, give or take. And let's just start out with our drafts. 1990, Tyrone Hill, number 11. Decent player, rugged guy, defender, rebounder, but not a star. 91, Chris Gatlin, Victor Alexander, 16 and 17. Decent players, more of a six-man than anything else, could play ball. 92, we got Latrell Sprewell, who later on strangled P.J. Carlissimo and went bankrupt after making contracts of, 40, 50, 60 million, whatever it was. Then in 93, we draft Penny Hardaway, trade him for Chris Webber and 3 first-round picks while we got Mullen on the team. While we got Hardaway on the team, while we got Sprewell, we got a ball club all of a sudden, folks. We go for 50 wins that season. It's nostalgia. It's crazy. And then Chris Webber goes, win. I don't like Don Nelson. He's too hard on me. I don't want to play here anymore. And then Chris Webber gets traded for Tom Gugliotta and 3 first-round picks. Tom Gugliotta comes over and lays an egg. I think his first year over here, he was just horrible. I don't want to talk about it. 94, we draft Clifford Rozier somewhere around 15, 16. 95, first overall pick, folks. Joe Smith. Average Joe Smith. He played basketball just like his name, folks. And he was average. We had passed up on Kevin Garnett and Rasheed Wallace to get Joe Smith. In 96, we picked up another 11th overall pick. There's a theme here, folks. Todd Fuller, who I think had trouble chewing gum and walking at the same time. Donald Foyle, 97, number 8. Another guy that was a really nice guy, really good character, but was horrible at basketball. 98, Vince Carter, we drafted. Yeah, that's right, we got Vince Carter in 98. We drafted him. He had a Warriors cap on. This Vince Carter's like, showtime, baby. We got someone to watch even if we lose it. Oh, no! Let's get Anton Jameson with the ugliest game in basketball. Yes, folks, he averaged like 19 a game. He had a couple 50-point games, but it was hard to watch the flip shot. I mean, he belonged in the Hoosiers movie, the way he used to play the game. He had this little flip shot. I wasn't a big fan. His numbers were good, but I would have liked watching Vinsanity. Moving forward, 99, we draft Jeff Foster, who gets traded for Vonteego Cummins, who looked really cool out there for a year, but I don't know what the hell happened to him. 2000, we didn't have our pick. 01, we get Jay Rich with number 5. Jay Rich, solid player. Really liked him. Fun to watch. Number 5, okay. 02, we get Mike Dunleavy. This guy, throw him in a crowd near the basket, and he was closing his eyes and going, hey, man, where's the foul? And the rest would just be like, man, you a bitch. I mean, they didn't give him nothing. I mean, he go in the lane, and the league just had no respect for him. And he reminded me of a guy that plays real technical baseball, and he used to catch the ball and be set. It was like he went to too many camps. He was too technical. It was like robotic basketball, and he was bitch made. That's all I'll say about him. He was bitch made in a lot of ways. I mean, he just didn't have the gusto out there. He had a lot of technical skills, but he would have been probably a really good Spur or a member of the Jazz in the 80s. That's what I'll say about him. And then we go 03, Miguel Petrus. Number 11. Number 11 again, folks. There's been 5 or 6 number 11s. Let me get to this at the end. Miguel Petrus was the French Jordan. Miguel Petrus was one of those guys he got drafted. In his picture, he's like this. They're just gaping. And then when they talked to him, you could tell this guy was he had trouble getting through school and whatnot because this always like that, right? Bucket man. Then we got Biedrins, number 11, folks. This is a theme. Why am I getting at this? I'll get to it at the end. Just stay with me, folks. If you're a Warriors fan, you'll get this at the end. Andres Biedrins, decent player, had some outstanding year where he had like 11 and 10 and a block a game. And then something happened. They neutered him or something like that. They cut his ball sack off, and all of a sudden this guy was playing with a beanbag out there. I don't know what happened. He was scared to play basketball after he got his $44 million contract. I don't know. Surprise, surprise. And then we had Ike Diogu, 05. I thought, like, interesting pick over Danny Granger, number 9. Again, number 9. Not much to talk about Ike Diogu. He was a flop. And then we had Patrick O'Brien. This guy was 7 foot tall, had some athletic ability, had a big wingspan, and he was drafted number 9. And then they interview him. He's sitting down. I think his legs was crossed. He was with his girlfriend, and he wanted to talk about how he loved cooking in his free time. That's when I knew, oh, we got some guy that's 19, 20 years old in college and already likes cooking in his free time. He ain't ringing the bell at Santa in the NBA, folks, if he's cooking in his free time. Let alone, sitting there, at the draft night, yeah, I love to do cooking a little bit in my free time. Oh, that's great. That's wonderful, Patrick. I'm sure you're going to be really successful in the NBA. Seems like you really got your priorities straight. That's correct? Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's great. He was out of the league 2-3 years. He's garbage. 07, we got Bellinelli. Decent player, 6-man, nice little player that we traded away for nothing. I don't remember what it was. Anthony Randolph, 08, number 14. Ton of potential, never panned out. And then 09, it shifted to Curry. Then number 10, we got Epe Udo, who was out of the league right now, garbage. And then we got Clay, 11. So going through those, you could just see the draft picks we made and the pain we went through. I'm not going to talk about the records, but basically, I think we had 2 winning seasons. We had the We Believe team that only lasted a year. It was outstanding. It was great. It was just fantastic for 1 year. It was a Disney story. And then before that, all we had was let's see here. When we got Webber, that's 93, 94. I think we had a 50-win season. We had a big bust. So like every 10 years, we was doing something, right? It was a big deal. But this is the pain of being a Warriors fan for the last 25, 26 years. So you have to realize 3 or 4. Let me peel back. Let me peel back here for a minute. That draft where we got Harrison Barnes, I believe it was 2012, Draymond Green and Zealy. That's when we kind of went over the top. But prior to that, we were still a lottery team. And what I was getting, we have 11th pick, 9. This is how bad the Warriors front office was. They didn't even know how to lose, folks. Every year they'd win just enough games so that they could be at the end of the lottery. So you'd be like, oh yeah, at the end of the year the Warriors is playing a lot of these other teams that are like, all right, we better lose so we can get a top 5 pick. But the Warriors is going, oh no, we're going to go for the win tonight. Yeah, we're going to get our fans free tacos because we're going to go over 120 or something. And then they'd get like the 11th pick, 10th pick, 9th pick, and they'd get out of the top 5. And then in a few years, you got the top 5 pick. You get Mike Dunleavy and Joe Smith. So that's our life right now. You talk about a real Warriors fan, and then someone say, oh, I don't care about that, man. You got a stacked team right now. Yeah, we earned it. We stuck with this motherfucking team. Think about that. If you've been with them since the beginning, there's a lot of bandwagon fans, the same with the San Francisco Giants as soon as they won. All of a sudden, there's Warrior gear everywhere. I'm at SFO, San Francisco Airport. They got a Warriors section. I don't know what the hell's going on. Now, let me get a little deeper into our pain. I wrote this email to a friend a while back just describing how bad Mullen. Now, Mullen as a player was outstanding. This guy was great. He was great. He was Larry Bird Light, lefty. I mean, he was outstanding. As a GM, he got Baron Davis for a bag of peanuts and Dale Davis. That was great. That was a coup. I think that Baron Davis, they were just looking to unload him. So he got that, but the rest of his moves were sheer garbage. So let me just go through this email real quick, and I'll read it to y'all. Bro, Mullen was the worst. Yeah, he brought in B. Davis, and we had a magical year. But what the fuck? He gave Dunleavy and Troy long-bloated contract. Murphy was making $11 million per with the jab step jumper. That's about all I can say. Was able to trade them later for Jackson and Harrington, which turned out to be the We Believe team. Then let's go through the lottery picks, which I mentioned already. Patrick O'Brien, Ike Diogu, Anthony Randolph. Brandon Broken Bones Wright, who was traded for Jay Rich straight up instead of Joe Kim. No, Brandon Wright was drafted one ahead of Joakim Noah, as I mentioned. And last but not least, Beans Beadrins, who had a beanbag, who later gave him a 6-year contract for $44 million. And they said, oh yeah, Mullen's really good with the players. Mullen was friends with these guys. He wasn't assessing talent. I'll get you your money. I'll bet you don't remember this unless you're a real Warriors fan. He traded multiple first-round picks for a guy named Marcus Williams. Yeah, you never heard of him. He was a point guard who never panned out. Was cut a year later. He signed Corey Maggette to a $50 million deal after losing Baron Davis and losing out on Gilbert Arenas, which would have been a worse disaster. Let's not forget he hired Mike Montgomery, who should have been on the Mr. Rogers show, because this guy was soft as baby shit. I mean, Mike Montgomery did not belong in the NBA. These guys didn't respect him. He did all right at Stanford with them Ivy League boys, and he was from Montana State, if I remember correctly. But it just didn't. He wasn't NBA material. I mean, he got his money and he left. Then Monte Ellis, who was Chris Mullen's greatest draft pick ever, gets in a moped accident, and the team's brass wants to fine or dock him pay, as it was in the contract. He couldn't be partaking in such activities. Fair enough. If you're making millions, if you're on a Warriors team, you're about to take the helm, you get this fat boy contract, you get in a moped accident, yeah, you should get docked fucking pay. Well, Mullen took Monte aside, and that was his demise, thankfully. He thought they were much too hard on Monte. Had to agree with the team. You're making millions. You have to do some obligations. Moving forward, we get in Larry Riley. Good old Larry Riley. Oh, shucks. I've been working with Nelly for about 25 years. They was drinking buddies, folks. So this guy, Larry Riley, who's an old hick, drafts Eke Udo over Greg Monroe. And then later on, I was like, I got egg on my face for that draft pick. Yeah, that wasn't very smart. Uses the amnesty clause on Charlie Bell, so we have no money. No way of cutting some of this Coy Maggette money. And then we finally fell into Curry. And then I'll throw in this little tidbit, okay? Let me just throw in this little tidbit that gets a little spicier that could have changed the whole Warriors 90s. We get Weber for 3 first-round picks. We had a nice core around him. We won 50 games. Weber throws a hissy fit, doesn't want to play for us anymore. They say, hey, Weber goes, either Nelson or me. Pick one. Nelson goes, hey, I'll take off. He said this in an interview. I'll go. The Spurs were offering him the job. Greg Popovich was the GM. He told Nelson to come over. If this is true or not, I'm not sure, but Nelly said it in a live interview. Okay? For the record, Chris Webber was a great talent, but he was a career loser. This guy, as an announcer, makes my ears bleed sometimes. Oh, when I used to play, let me tell you something, Chris. Talk about the Final Four timeout. Let's talk about the Kings losing repeatedly when you were the star player on good teams. They lost repeatedly in the playoffs, didn't make any noise, and he was a stat stuffer. And I'm tired of the guy. Sorry for the rant, folks, but if you was pissed off because the Warriors finally got a team, go fuck yourself twice times over, because we went through this shit for 25, 26 years with 2 good teams. They got dismantled instantly. The Weber team and the Baron Davis team. We had those 2 years ago. In the late 80s, we had Run TMC and all that good stuff. But tell me I'm wrong. We deserve this, folks. If you're a Warriors fan, we're going to take it. We ain't going to feel bad at all. We got a great team for the first time in 2 decades. Give me a break, folks. It's going to be wet out there next year. Tell me I'm wrong. Lie.